Go Pizza presents SCP. The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle and Adam Wild.
All right, so Steve's going to start the show with some breaking news. Breaking news! This never happens. It always happens directly after the show finishes at about 2 o'clock. When we record, that's usually when the breaking news happens, and we're done.
Breaking.
What happened?
The Maple Leafs alumni roster for the Centennial Classic.
Ooh, and the Detroit Red Wings one was released today.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Yes.
All I saw was the Leafs one.
Both sides.
So maybe bring up the Red Wings one while I read the Leafs one.
I will do that.
For the Leafs, Dave Anderchuk, by the way, not in the Hall of Fame yet. He's been eligible for 9 years.
That's a bit of a... didn't Down Goes Brown put out an article at Sportsnet.ca about Hall of Fame snubs, and Paul Correa was like...
Paul Correa's not the biggest snub because, I think he's going to get in. Mm-hmm. But Anderchuk, it's been long enough that he might not.
Yeah, he might not.
It's kind of weird.
Which would be a shame. Thankfully, it doesn't work like the baseball one where you can get eliminated from contention to the Hall of Fame.
I think that's the correct way to do it.
Really?
Because your stats don't change. Once you're retired and they determine that you're not eligible, what changed?
Well,
what happened in those 10 years to make you a better player?
You're just waiting for a bad year.
Yeah. But if you're Gretzky... if you're going in Gretzky's year, it's like, well, I don't stand a chance against Gretzky. He's Gretzky.
So then maybe after 10 times you don't get in, then it's enough.
See, he's a really interesting case. Why did he have to be the first name? This is going to go by so slowly. But I heard, I think it was Dan Rosen was talking about it. He's one of only 2 guys with 600 or more goals not in the Hall of Fame, and the only other guy is Yager, and the reason he's not in is because he's still playing.
Yeah, Dave Anderchuk deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, well, there's name 1.
But he does have a statue in Tampa Bay.
He sure does.
By the way,
he won the Stanley Cup.
I believe I'm going to the Lightning v. Canucks game in early December, as I'm going to be down in Sarasota, Florida to visit my parents, because that's what all retired people do. They move to Florida, and I can't wait to do that myself.
I am also watching the Canucks.
Really?
Canucks Leafs, December 3rd in Vancouver.
Oh my God!
That's right. I forgot about that.
It's the Steve Dangle podcast tour of Vancouver.
I'm going to watch from home.
You know what we should do?
What?
We should watch the Vancouver Canucks game together and Skype Jesse.
Oh,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, and
Have we announced that yet?
Then we can watch like we're at an Islanders game.
Have we announced that yet on the show that you're going to be at the...
Jesse's going to Vancouver.
Yeah.
Bring your tomatoes, Canucks fans.
What are you doing there?
I'm just hanging out. Just having
Do you have a job interview there that I don't know about?
I have many job interviews constantly.
If you are leaving either of these shows, I will be so mad.
I am not.
Okay, good.
I'll be all the upset.
Because we're doing this till we're 86, by the way, gentlemen. 86 is the magic number.
Or at least 70.
86.
Like that Shawn Mendes song.
Oh, wow.
Wow. So, hey, did you hear the last show?
We'll get into that in a second. So you're saying we'll do the show until we're old enough to be racist? Is that what it is?
Until somebody else with a different show yells about us and says we're done.
I think I'm done with Steve Dangle.
Fair enough.
We're still on the first name.
So, Dave Anderchuk
is a guy who scored 600 goals. Cool.
He's a guy. Wendell Clark.
Uh-huh.
Ty Domi, Dave Ellett, Doug Gilmore, Al Iafrate, Cujo, Curtis Joseph, Thomas Caberlet, Gary Lehman, the Blue Mohawked one, Brian McCabe, Lanny McDonald.
That was unfortunate.
Big Daddy Bob McGill, Mike Palmatier, Felix the Cat Potvin, Gary Roberts, Boreas Solming, Daryl Sittler, Matt Sundin. He's actually going to make his way to North America. That's amazing.
That's because I believe the reason he wasn't at the...
I think he's a daddy now.
He's a dad now.
I forgot
He was
about
having a baby. That's why he couldn't be at the ceremony, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I also am not 100% sure he knew.
Well, no, none of them did.
Until 10 minutes before.
Yeah.
Matt Sundin. Steve Thomas, Stumpy. Darcy Tucker, Rick Vive, Tiger Williams, and one of my favorite Leafs as a kid, never talked about, very underrated, Dmitry Yushkevich.
He was awesome.
I love Dmitry Yushkevich.
I remember that Yushkevich and Markov shutting down the Jaromir Jagr line in the second round of the playoffs, and I actually went to one of the games where Sylvain Cote scored a goal to start the game, and I believe you're doing a trade tree on him, are you not?
Already did. He was in the Aki Berg one.
Yes, he was. Now, we have the Detroit Red Wings version, too, and I know we have a lot of listeners in Michigan and who are just Detroit fans in Southern Ontario as well, too. So, Chris Draper.
Hey,
neighborhood
St.
favorite.
Brendan's alumni.
Tilly Street alumni,
Whoa.
which is where I grew up.
Whoa.
Chris Draper, Dino Cicerelli, Martin Lapointe, Doug Brown, Sergei Fedorov, Slava Kozlov, Brendan Shanahan.
How dare you? Wait, really?
Trickery.
How dare you, Brendan? How dare you?
We should reach out to him for comment and be like, excuse me, why are you such a traitor? Brendan, we understand you're a traitor. Why?
Dear treasonous.
Thomas Holstrom, Mickey Redmond, Darren McCarty, Igor Larionov, Kirk Maltby, Joe Kosher. So basically, most of those guys are the guys that they won all the cups with at the end of the last millennium. Nicholas Lindstrom, Larry Murphy, Chris Chelios, also 3 on that list. Yuri Fisher, Paul Coffey, Matthew Dandino, Manny Legacy, and Kevin Hodgson. I don't remember Kevin Hodgson.
Me neither. I remember Manny Legacy, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Was Chris Osgood on that list?
He's not.
No, and there was another name floated for the Hall of Fame in the near future.
Who's that? Oh, Chris Osgood?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, is Mike Vernon in the Hall of Fame?
I don't think so.
Mike Vernon's a guy that I think should be in the Hall of Fame.
Next year's class has some names available. Well, Teemu Solani's the lock. I think it's his first year of eligibility. Korea's in there. Daniel Alfredson is in there. Dave Anderchuk is still in there. Mark Recchi is in there.
I would tell the Hall of Fame not to Anderchuk this chance.
Whoa!
To honor a man who deserves.
How dare you? Like, how could you look us in the eye and try to say that?
Jesse laughed a little.
No, he didn't. He just kept his head down and decided to not be your friend for that moment.
I was very disappointed.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that alumni game will be great. It'll be great.
The whole experience will be great.
You've been to this, so you know.
Yeah, I encourage everyone if the guilt of killing somebody won't weigh that much on your conscience, you can, I'm sure, shank someone and take their tickets, right? Because it's the only way you're going to get them. And then you'll enjoy it. It'll be a wonderful experience, and bundle up. Lots of layers.
Yeah.
The alumni game is cool. I don't know if women's hockey is going to be involved at all this year. And then, of course, the game itself between the Leafs and Red Wings, it'll be fun. If it's anything like the Boston-Montreal game I was at last year, it'll be fun.
It'll be lots of fun. It'll be exciting.
And a different atmosphere. It'll be like a lot more intimate. And it's not at this giant 80,000 seat NFL arena. It'll be like what, 35,000?
35, 36. I know they added a whole stand. Like they brought in, what they do for, those temporary grandstands. They put in a new one for the Grey Cup, which is the Canadian Football League. Everybody paying attention in America. And
didn't that get them up to 35,000?
I think it did. Yeah. And
Canada,
it's funny.
not as big.
When they have TFC games there, all those tickets sell, man. Yep. It's funny. You wouldn't know it in this city, but you could have double the amount of people at a Toronto Football Club game that you would have at a Leaf game.
Close to it.
Leafs are about 18 grand, right? 18,000?
After all the suites and everything, I think it's closer to 19 and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you've got 36.
That's pretty crazy.
That is crazy. It's cool. Crazy. Argo's not so much.
No, well, they haven't been around that. I mean, shucks.
10 years.
Nuts.
So let's just. But we got to talk about a lot of things today. We got Subban tonight here in Toronto.
That's
He's
right.
coming back home to the city that he really loves. The city he truly loves.
Absolutely.
Let's be honest.
It's good that you say that. It's good to articulate that. I find it doesn't rub anyone the wrong way.
If there's a city that loves him, it's also Toronto.
Oh, absolutely.
We also have to talk about the NHL and the 2018 Olympics.
Oh, yes.
And the Coyotes and their new arena deal. And a really interesting stat, which we will get into next, which Jesse found, which I think is so interesting. Now, it's a couple days out of date. But it is such a great stat, and you're going to geek the hell out, even if you're not an advanced stats person.
I love stats.
You will be blown away by the stat, which is already 2 days old, but still hasn't changed all that much.
They haven't played, so I think it's still good. Because there were only one NHL game Monday.
Right.
So the entire stat.
So then we're okay.
I think I know.
Good, yeah.
I think I know.
Oh,
what
yeah. This is
You'll
good.
like it.
You're going to love it. First thing, though, I want to address is last show. We're going to dive headlong.
It kicked up a notch, didn't it?
did.
Also,
It did.
I had a question.
Oh,
Never got to my question.
let's get to your question first.
Oh,
So, Steve's wearing a Mario Brothers shirt.
Oh, man.
They're called the Mario Brothers.
Uh-huh.
Why are they called the Mario Brothers if one of them named is Mario and the other one's name is Luigi? Is his name Mario?
and the other one is Luigi Mario.
Is this your shower question of the day?
No.
You just came up with this? 'Cause
No, I
Jesse
saw
says he has
that.
a good shower thoughts question for
I've
us.
seen that asked before and I never got an answer.
Wow.
Is he Mario? The other one's Luigi Mario. They're the Mario Brothers.
Well, no, I think he's Super Mario. And the other one may be Luigi
So you
Mario.
think his first name
It's
is Super?
Yeah. Yeah.
not very Italian.
Super. Like,
Super. I don't know. I'm assuming that's a word. It's not a word. I have no idea.
that's why I always tell you, like, pronounce my name right. Damn it, it's Dangle.
Dangle. I don't know.
I just thought I'd ask.
That's a good question, man.
I just thought I'd ask.
By the
Well,
way,
Jesse, I'll have to ask my relatives at the macaroni factory about it.
somebody messaged us about last week's question, and Jesse was talking about, what was it? If there are Sour Patch Kids, where are their parents? And somebody said they're with wine gums.
Yeah.
No, yeah, their parents are wine gums.
Which,
That was Diana. I remember now.
Damn, good one, Diana.
I mean, you answered it.
Yeah.
I've never seen one of those, like, actually answered.
no.
Yeah.
Most people just ignore that, and they yell at us for other things because they're like, no, that breaks my brain. That's too much.
Sometimes you're like, oh, that's kind of clever, and that was the first one where I was like, damn, that's the answer. That's what it is. Okay, thanks, Diana.
Yeah, thanks.
Now that that's done, what else do we want to tackle?
Let's quickly mention last week's show. Or the last show that we did on Thursday last week. Now,
Yes, I understand some of you were disturbed by the Bob Cole impression.
yes, and the Jeffler story, which is understandable as well. Some of you had to turn it off. No, we're going to talk about the we're not going to get more into politics. Our message was this. The
Yes.
Steve Dangle podcast is an inclusive environment.
Yes.
As I said at the time, not an airy-fairy safe space. Oh, feel free to be. But yeah, feel free to be you. And feel free that, yeah, you can say what you want, but there are going to be people who disagree with you, and they're going to go, hey, you, stop it.
Hey, you.
I don't agree. Now,
I might call you stupid.
what I want to say about this is a couple things. One of them involves the overarching talk that we had. The second thing involves Don Cherry.
Okay.
So the first thing I want to say is that I was genuinely shocked by the amount of amazing messages that we got afterwards.
A lot of Americans.
A lot of Americans, and a lot of Americans who identify with a group that you would say is outside of the precipitated norm. Right? The norm that is, I'm a straight white, whatever. Right? I
give Adam funny looks during the show, and that's because he uses words I don't understand.
Well, yeah, like people.
Precipitated, I'm like, rain.
As in like the norm that is, and if somebody's going to tweet me and say I used that word wrong, probably. But
I'm like, yes, rain and snow and things. I understand.
The point is, there's a norm, quote unquote norm in society that everybody deems normal. And yet nobody feels normal. I can tell you even normal people don't feel normal. And yet we all feel we're outside of it. And there are people that messaged us and said, listen, you made me feel like there's a community, and there is.
Yeah.
I do want to say this. There was a lot of people that sent us stuff on why their families voted Republican, why they themselves voted Republican, why they disagreed with what they said, or what we said, excuse me. And what I want to say about that is that's great.
Yeah.
What I love about that, and what I loved about most of the rhetoric and most of the wording, was that none of it was criticizing arguments maybe that we made, criticizing some of our maybe our politically held beliefs. But I will say this: 99.9% of the comments were respectful,
civil. Yeah.
Civil.
I went back
Heated.
at a few of them, though. Like, I mean, just because you have a response doesn't mean that response is a very good one.
Right.
Thank you for at least making it polite. But
that is a debate. Is that not a debate?
It is a debate.
And is that what? And we should at least listen to each other.
Yep. Yep.
And that's what being inclusive is. Part of it is listening to each other. And for anybody that felt,
I think we should listen to most people.
For anybody that felt that we were too harsh, that is what it is. We all
make your own podcast.
We stand behind, behind the words that we said. Maybe you felt we got a little too passionate at points, but you know what? Sorry, that's who we are. We're human beings. We're flawed, and that's what it is. And I'm not apologizing. I don't feel bad for anything I said.
I'm a human being. I'm flawed, and the last show was not one of the reasons why.
Yeah.
So, hey, I get what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm digging in.
Oh, and that's fine. No, I'm not. Listen.
No, I know.
What I want to say is this. We are going to disagree on things.
Yeah.
This community will disagree on things. Yeah. What I won't have is the typical crap that you hear online, which is, you're a terrible person. I hope you burn in hell. None of that happened, which was amazing. That really is amazing.
Yeah.
And it speaks to the intellect and the patience of the people that listen to this show, and I appreciate that. And it's
a good show.
And if anybody wants to, engage us,
good listener, it's a good audience.
And if anybody who cares to and wants to engage us directly, I encourage you to do that. But do it in a respectful manner. Yeah. We will absolutely respond when we can. Obviously, we've got things going on in our lives like you do in yours. But listen, if you disagree with us, that's totally cool. Just come at us respectfully. And we want to talk to you. We want to talk to you. And again, as I said, anytime, if you feel alone, if you feel disenfranchised, we're here. And the community's here. So just know that. The other thing I want to say is we talked very candidly about Don Cherry. And one of the things I asked on the last show was, are we done?
Can I add some context to the story before you get into it?
Yeah.
So I got a call this morning from my mom, and she's like, "Oh, were you watching breakfast television this morning?" I go, "No, why? What happened?" She's like, "Oh, Don Cherry was on with Adam, and Adam rubbed his face."
So they had
I'm
me.
like, "Mom has not listened to the last podcast yet."
No. So
Which,
Dina,
Mom, it's not too late. Don't do it.
Maybe don't.
The first part, fine. The rest, no, not so much.
Dina and Kevin, they were both talking about Don's skin, and they were talking about, like, oh, it's very supple, you know, like, and so Kevin's like, go up and rub Don's face, and Don's right there, and I'm like, I am not going to rub Don Cherry's face. On any day, I'm not going to do that. And anyway, so they pushed it, and Don's like, oh, I didn't realize it was that kind of show. Like, he was really funny about it. Here's the thing, and this has been the part that has been, I think that I didn't acknowledge this myself enough on the last show. And that is this, you know, when I met Don today, again, as I did the first time, I genuinely liked him. Mm-hmm. Genuinely liked the man, and genuinely understand why he's popular. Mm-hmm. And, you know, this is a man who had a huge part of, I mean, Don Cherry, and I told him this today. No, and I told Don Cherry this today. Part of the reason I'm such a passionate Leaf fan is that you got on TV when they sucked in the mid-90s and said, if you grew up in Toronto, it's a cop-out to cheer for another team. You should be cheering for your hometown team. Mm-hmm. And that, to me, my 8-year-old brain was like, yeah, that makes sense. And then I became a Leaf fan. So
look, if he gets up there and 85% of what he says is fine and dandy, that's great. It's the 15%.
And that's the thing. In all of this, what we have to remember is that the people we are talking to online are people. And they're technically probably people that we would like. Doesn't mean we agree with them. It doesn't mean that we're okay with the way they think. But we might like them. We might find them to be good people to be around. And I had a conversation with one of our listeners about that. He was really pissed with me, really mad.
Good.
And I said, man, we've met. Like, you know, I'm a rational guy. Come at me and tell me an argument. Don't start a conversation attacking me.
That is a cool thing with this show is we've met so many of the listeners.
Yeah. Well, and when I said to him, and he said, well, he said, I can like you, but I don't have to like the way you went about handling that. And he disagreed with the way I handled it. Fine. And that's totally cool. My point in all of this is, remember that when you're on the other side of an argument, do I still stand behind everything I said? Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't agree with what Don Cherry says when he gets into those sorts of subjects. Mm-hmm. I just don't. And I don't like it, and it makes me uncomfortable, and it upsets me. You know why? Because my bar for Don Cherry's higher than that. Because I expect Don to be a good, accepting person. And sometimes he says things that really make me crazy. But when I met him today, I was like, you know what? I still like him. I just don't like his opinions. And I want that to be a real thing that you take away from this show, from the last couple episodes. The people that you are arguing with online are people that you would probably like, especially if you're on our Reddit page, which, by the way, blew up after the last show.
Yeah,
so many comments.
With a lot of thank yous and other blank dash yous. Yeah.
And I think there's going to be a lot of people that there might be people that disagree with me on this. That's fine. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of like I talked about, if you got a racist uncle, you probably love that racist uncle, right? You hate their point of view, though. And is it okay to say nothing? No, you still have to call that racist uncle out.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a tough one, that's how I feel
with it. I believe in debate and discussion and discourse, but I think after a while, because that's what I did, right? I went in there and I had some discussion, and after a while, I'm like, well, I think we're done here.
Yeah,
like,
I'm not going
to agree with you.
Yeah, but
at one point, I've heard you out, and if after hearing you out, I still think you're totally wrong and damaging to the people around you and people I love, I don't need to give you respect. I don't. It's not a fair way to be. It's not the nicest way to be. Don't care.
Well, it was
a very unpleasant week.
It was.
It was a very, very unpleasant week.
Yeah, it was tough. The end of the day, we're not going to agree on everything. And, what I can guarantee you is this. From everybody on this show, you will always get respect, but expect that you have to also give it. The second it becomes disrespectful, the second you step off that line, well, we're human beings too, right? Those are the rules.
Don't you dare tell me Matt Hunwick should be getting top line minutes.
Pairing minutes. Steve and I disagree about living downtown. Jesse disagrees with Steve as well. Steve should be living downtown. Steve was late today because guess what?
I am tired of being ganged up on by you two.
Because he doesn't live downtown, Jesse.
Is that the reason you were late?
No, that was my fault. That was my fault.
Why were you late, Steve?
I was writing my article about the Cody Franzen trade. I thought I would be done on time. And then it's 1:45 the time I need to leave. And I haven't showered, haven't taken the dog for a walk, and I just finished.
My favorite part of every Steve story is, I thought I would have time, but... and I think there's been a few on this show where a few times.
Man, I'm decent at talking about hockey. I'm not good at time management.
It's okay. Me neither, man. Jesse's the good one at this, actually, I think, of all of us.
I disagree.
Really?
At what? Time management?
Time management? You're always on time.
Yeah, you're always on time.
Yeah, occasionally.
Producers are good at time management, usually.
Yeah, they have to be.
Yeah.
So Jesse and I have been talking, Steve, and we're a little concerned about you.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah, we're a little concerned about you. First off, we know that you haven't paid your power bill in a few months, and yesterday they finally shut off the power, and that's why you were tweeting about your Dangle apparel finally, only being a couple hours left to buy it. Can you still buy it, or is it done?
It's done. I could probably relaunch it, though. I might relaunch it just so that you can buy it before Christmas.
Well, yeah, because the thing is that if Steve can't pay for his power bill, we don't get videos.
See, it was it was a misunderstanding. I thought in Oshawa the power was free.
Right. I just
thought it was free.
So now you owe how much? And you owe a lot back, right?
I owe 50,000 Oshawa dollars.
Really?
We're on a different currency.
Which is like $3 Canadian.
Oh, totally.
It's monopoly money.
Yeah, I reached into the couch. I found $3 yesterday. We're close. We're close to being able to pay it.
So does everybody in Oshawa not pay their power bill, and that's why everyone's power was out?
I haven't found the answer to that, but I will shout it down the street,
so
and the rest of Oshawa will hear it because it's so small, and they'll let me know. They'll get back to me.
So the power was out in Oshawa last night?
Power was out in Oshawa last night.
For how
long? It was off for about an hour the first time, and then I don't know. I fell asleep the second time.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was off for quite a bit because it came back on. And then shortly after, we heard a very loud bang, which we found out later was a transformer. And then it went off again. Yeah.
So all like 10 people who own power, they were affected.
Yeah. And cows.
Jesse, didn't you hear about the next? There's 11 people there now.
Oh, what?
Somebody else is there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Someone had a kid.
Someone had a kid.
Someone had a kid.
Yeah, there was a big party for them at the Legion. It was cool.
How dare you dump on Legion parties? They are the best.
I don't get it. I've never been.
You've never been to a Legion party?
No.
Oh, man. Scarborough, there was Legion parties all the time.
See, Jesse grew up a fine young man, whereas we grew up scumbags.
Yeah, we did grow up in a... Well, okay, so the Legion...
Or we just grew up in different parts of the city.
Yeah, so the Legions are where...
There's a Legion in Mississauga.
No,
that's where the
isn't.
vets gather.
How dare you? It's a 600,000 person
Yeah,
city.
there's a Legion in Mississauga somewhere.
No, there isn't.
There has to be.
No, there isn't.
Has to be.
I'm not even gonna Google it right now because I know there's a Legion in Mississauga somewhere.
No.
Jesse's going to find a way
So
for
there
there
are
to not be a
no war
Legion.
veterans in Mississauga.
What are those?
Okay.
I don't know.
They're war veterans, not
Yeah.
shoes, Jesse.
We don't celebrate
You can't ask
Remembrance
one of
Day in
those about
Mississauga
them.
because no one fought.
I've never celebrated Remembrance Day. in
Well,
my
you don't
entire
celebrate
life.
it. You honor.
Exactly. Disrespect.
See, you see how he brought that around in like that. I was ready to pounce.
You would make a great TV pundit. Like, you are too
I
good
don't
at that,
want
man.
that.
Honestly.
You're a katana sword, Jesse. You were long and sharp.
Don't sound like compliments, people.
That was
See what I mean? You are like,
We were talking about the Legion and war vets.
all you have to do is start a conspiracy theory that Gary Bettman is actually a lizard and you will be Alex Jones from InfoWars.
Share it on Facebook.
Yeah.
Wait till it has 800,000 shares, and then Jesse becomes
Did you
president.
know that
That's
the
how it
Earth
works.
is flat?
The Earth, oh man. I
do now.
thanks to you, YouTube video from unverified source with a bunch of numbers and letters in your name. So we're gonna go to break. But when we come back,
Sports.
can we talk about arena deals?
Yeah, we can talk about a bunch of stuff, man, because we didn't.
Arena deals are interesting.
Leafs game.
And this stat is interesting. And Subban is in town tonight, and that is interesting. All of that next on the Steve Dangle podcast on the Fan 590. On Sportsnet 590, The Fan. Leafs tonight are hosting a very special mustard-colored team, the Nashville Predators.
I was going to say the Sabres from a couple of years ago.
The Sabres from a couple years ago. Last year's Montreal Canadiens. Not really.
Oh, wow.
The standout star from last year's Montreal. Let's say last year's Montreal Canadiens.
There you go.
Basically PK.
There you go. Hey, they lost, by the way.
Montreal.
I think it's news every time the Habs lose.
Yeah.
It's crazy how unbelievably good Carey Price is. Like, it's just outrageous.
I saw the score the other day. I went, oh, Carey Price finally lost. Nope. Montoya in net.
It's unbelievable.
He hasn't lost in over a calendar year. I know he was hurt for a lot of that.
It's so I never thought. I mean, we always kind of Montreal was definitely an exciting team to watch, and we said that at the beginning of the season. It's like, what's this going to be? Mm-hmm. Because we obviously disagree with the Subban trade, and people are like, well, here we are, 15 games in. Clearly, Montreal won that trade.
No.
Montreal. The problem with Montreal is Montreal should have been good last year too. And what would Montreal be if Carey Price wasn't in net? Well, we have a couple games, and.
Well, okay, no.
No?
I'm not taking the easy. I refuse to take the easy road out on that one because a lot of people were like, well, after the 10-0 game, well, here they are.
Well, they're not a 10-0 team.
No, but they were quick to go, look, Montoya. Montoya's a good goalie, man. He's a good backup.
Right. So what's his record now?
I think it must still be above 500. I think he played the first 3 games of the season.
Okay.
So he's probably like 3-2, something like that.
Okay. But the point is,
I just think the Habs would be close to the same record, if not have the exact same record with Subban.
Yes.
Like, Carey Price has been so good that I think it's inconsequential.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a good point.
Isn't that like the biggest trade maybe like of the last 2 decades? And he like wipes it out.
And my point,
and Weber was never bad.
My point in that is that, like I said, Montreal is supposed to be good because Carey Price is supposed to be in the lineup. And the whole hoopla last year about it was that the team sucked without him. And the team, I think, still isn't that great without him.
And look, hey, Shea Weber's scoring lots of goals. Okay, of all the critics, like if you look at all the criticism of that trade, I don't think anyone, even Andrew Berkshire, was like, yeah, Weber's not going to score goals.
No one said
scored
that.
20 goals last year. He's a goal-scoring defenseman.
And he's very, very good.
He's very, very tough. I don't know. We talked about it. I mean, we'll drop it right now. But basically, in about 2 or 3 years, that deal is going to look worse and worse and worse. But if they win a cup,
it doesn't matter.
cares?
Doesn't matter.
Who gives a damn?
And with Carey Price playing like he is breathtaking to watch. Oh my God. And by the way, Alex Radulov is awesome to watch too. It's nice to see him.
He's fantastic. He's battling a bug right now, but he's fantastic. And look at that. We haven't even talked about Preds.
Do not call Michel Therrien a bug. That's not very nice.
How dare you.
That is not nice.
Andrew Shaw. How dare you.
Montoya is 3-2-1, by the way.
3-2-1. Okay.
Oh, that's kind of symmetrically.
Yeah,
I kind of like that.
There's something pleasing about that. If he was 3-1-2, I'd be like, something bugs me. So the Leafs in this one, it looks like
The Leafs in Nashville now.
Yeah, Leafs in Nashville. Looks like Holland's going to be a healthy scratch. Not really a shock. Corrado's going to be a healthy scratch. Oh, look, we're back to normal. And Connor Carrick.
That was interesting.
Yep.
But is it that surprising?
No, you would assume a rookie would take a seat at some point, so I'm not ready to freak out about it. I suppose you sort of got to reevaluate Matt Hunwick because he's kind of just coming back from injury. I get it. But at some point, which I would say we've already reached, but the highest paid coach in the league is going to have to come to the conclusion that this guy doesn't belong in the lineup. It's really that simple. At some point, the highest paid coach in the league, Mike Babcock, is going to have to come to the conclusion that Connor Carrick deserves to be in the lineup over at least one of those guys, and maybe Frank Corrado too. I'll settle on one of them, man.
Are you saying
I'll meet you halfway, Mike?
Are you saying that watching Matt Hunwick is not Funwick?
Oh, how dare you! How dare it's not though.
This is no longer Funwick.
It's not though. It's not fun.
Well,
but it evens out a little bit because apparently Pecorine out with an injury day to day. So it's going to be, I think, Martin Mazenitz. Mazenitz is his name.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. PK, when he comes to Toronto,
he turns it on.
PK enjoys
power play goal, for sure.
Yeah, and I love that about him. I love guys that turn it on in the spotlight. That's entertainment, baby. I love it.
I don't.
Because
the Leafs are always in the spotlight, man.
So the defense, getting back to the defense for just a second. I felt like, and I could be wrong, I haven't looked at the advanced numbers on this, but I felt like Connor Carrick's numbers, or not in numbers, his play has dropped off in the last 3-4 games.
He might be beaten up a bit.
And I wonder if, of course, people are freaking out online already because the advanced stats community loves Connor Carrick, understandably so.
I don't know what his numbers are. The last I checked, they were very good.
People are freaking out about the fact that he's going to be scratched. Now, this is a guy that's never played a full NHL season.
No.
And has been really great and has been the Leafs' fourth best defenseman. So on most nights, third, I would say, defensively.
He's good. Put it this way, deserves to be in the lineup.
Deserves to be in the lineup. I don't see a problem with him just sitting a game and them going, what do we have?
Yeah, I'm not going to freak out about it. It's a home game, so at very least, let's say you have a weaker pair and you can protect it. Maybe he needs a day off. Like, the Leafs don't necessarily have to announce every time a player is banged up and needs a day off. So
media would tell you they do.
Well, yes. Yeah, absolutely. And that was, again, something I learned during that, end of the season Marlies playoff run, especially because it was the playoffs. They tell you nothing.
Yeah.
They even give you, misinformation. And then you ask them about the misinformation, and they kind of forgot what they told you. And then they just kind of throw their arms up and go, he's not playing tonight. I had no idea what was wrong with Nikita Soshnikov. Nylander? I don't know. Mm-hmm. Mono? Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe he pulled something. Maybe I don't know, he's not playing tonight, man. He's not playing. And that's all it was.
Yeah.
That's all it was. So, I don't know, maybe Carrick's fully healthy.
The Leafs should just release, not playing tonight, don't ask. That's what
Hey, Connor Carrick played later into the spring than anyone else on the Leafs defense I can name.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Now,
except for the ones that were Marlies.
No, he was a Marley.
Yeah, okay.
No one else was. No one else was, unless... And the KHL season ends earlier, so it wouldn't have been Zaitsev.
Zaitsev didn't come over.
I mean, he had, I think, a tournament in there. He obviously had the World Championships.
But you're right.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Carrick was a little banged up.
From what you saw, Frank Corrado, how'd he look?
I thought he looked fine, man. It's just it sucks that the power play goal that ties the game, it had to be him taking the penalty. And it was frustrating because that one goes in, and then and the penalty was drawn by Tom Kuhnhackl. Later in the game, Corrado draws a penalty off Tom Kuhnhackl. The Leafs can't convert on that. And later in the game, Sidney Crosby does almost exactly the same thing to Leo Komarov in front of the net. No call. So it's super frustrating if you're Frank Corrado. I thought he looked fine. Like the way they're treating him, you'd think he'd be an unmitigated disaster. Where I think he walked into it. That's a almost can't win game. The more I thought about it, the more I was like, they shouldn't even show up. Like, back-to-back nights. Why did Freddie Anderson start? I mean, he did really well, but why did you start your goalie in back-to-back situations? Anderson faced
I thought they weren't going to do that.
That's what was reported. It was reported Anderson, Philly,
so there must be
Enroth, Pittsburgh.
There's something going on with Enroth.
Oh.
There's something up there.
Bet the Farm, by the way. I forgot to tweet this. Bet the Farm. Oh, Jesse, you got to get this up. Toot sweet so that I can be right. Because watch the trade happen. Bet the Farm. Leafs sign Kari Ramo and trade Enroth to the Flyers, who desperately need a goalie right now. Bet the Farm. That's what I think is going to happen.
Is Kari Ramo an upgrade?
No. Well, see, it's been so many years since I've seen him in this role, right? He was kind of the starter in Calgary, and then he was splitting games, and then he was the starter again. And so in a backup role, he might be better.
So they probably didn't sign Enroth, or didn't, trade, or start Enroth because they don't want him to get injured?
I don't know.
And they're waiting for Ramo to be done? Like, cleaned up? Because I know he's coming off knee surgery.
That's my assumption. Like, why do you have a backup goalie?
Yeah.
Why do you have a backup goalie?
Okay.
I mean, you usually don't start your backup goalie against Pittsburgh, but
so okay. So all of that's playing in here, and then we've got another move that the Leafs made between the last show and this one was they re-waived Seth Griffiths, or I guess he was Griffith, and
who comes to Toronto on Thursday, by the way.
And people again, and I say people when I say that, you know, there's a lot of people in the advanced stats community who said if you're keeping Ben Smith and you're waiving Seth Griffith, you're making a huge mistake. Now, to that I ask.
Okay.
First off, I saw Gus Katsaros, at Cats Hockey, who's been on this show before, is a scout, knows this stuff, say, I'm not really that worried about it. I've had a look at his numbers. I'm not really sure he's an NHLer.
Oh, Griffith? Yeah, he's in a lot of people are talking about him like he's a can't miss prospect. I disagree. However, I don't think you would ever trade Griffith for Smith 1-for-1. One is a 23-year-old with a really, really good resume at scoring in the American Hockey League. The other is a 28 or 29-year-old, I can't remember, Ben Smith, who's a fourth-line depth player on a not very good team.
Now,
28.
Do you have him in there because, you know, he wins faceoffs?
Okay,
trustworthy guy. Listen, I'm just going to bring these arguments in.
Why do all players who get their teeth kicked in possession-wise, why are they all good at faceoffs?
Now, does he?
Well, they're all good at faceoffs. Have you noticed that?
Well, David Steckel and Yannick Perreault.
Oh, my God. Yeah. They're all good at faceoffs. Oh, what's his face? Paul Gostad. They're all great at faceoffs. Like, what? How? They spend all their time practicing just that.
I'm just bringing up the other side here.
Nothing else.
Yeah.
Just faceoffs.
Generally speaking, if someone goes, yeah, but they're good at faceoffs. Oh, no. That's where we're starting? Geez.
Okay.
Crosby is very good at faceoffs. You would never start the conversation with Sidney Crosby is good at faceoffs.
Fine. Is Seth Griffith the guy for that role?
Well, no. And this is the thing. But, so everyone's picking on Ben Smith, who I like Ben Smith. I thought he was really good with the Leafs down the stretch, actually, last year. I loved him in the American Hockey League with the Marlies. Thought he was a key addition. Babcock seems to like him. At 5-on-5, I think he's a decent penalty killer.
I feel the same way about Matt Martin.
Yeah.
But he's better on the ice than...
Yeah. Ben Smith, good guy, Adonis body. I'm sure he works hard in the weight room. I'm sure they want that to rub off on people for sure. And some people, everyone seemed to look at this as them choosing Ben Smith over Seth Griffith,
which is how it was framed.
Both players, you got to waive to send them down. Could have waived Josh Levo. but they chose not to. Okay, fine. They just signed him to a 2-year deal. Clearly they want to keep him. Okay, fine. You know who they didn't have to waive? A guy who they called up because of an injury. Nikita Soshnikov. Now, has Nikita Soshnikov been so amazing that it was worth it to lose this guy? Because you didn't have to. You did not have to lose this player.
Well,
you could have sent him down. You could have sent a few players down, but Soshnikov would have been the most deserving because he was the last one to come up. You could have kept this player by sending down Nikita Soshnikov. Why didn't you?
So here's...
Do you care about him that little? If the answer is yes, okay, fine.
Maybe that's what they saw. I'm not saying they did. Maybe that's what they saw. Maybe there's a reason Nikita Soshnikov is now up when he was not.
Yeah. And I mean...
Well, I don't know what that reason could be, but to me, it strikes as that role, the role that Seth Griffith plays, is not a role that's available on the current Toronto Maple Leafs.
And this is kind of what I wrote about a couple of weeks ago. The Leafs have too many damn wings. They have too many guys on the wing. Okay, you got Seth Griffith, who is a right-handed shot, who is a great scorer in the American Hockey League at 23 years old. And you're replacing him with Josh Levo, who is a great goal scorer in the American Hockey League at 23 years old.
And are either of those players worth a roster spot over a guy named Kasperi Kapanen?
Well...
Does one more guy still have to go down?
I don't think so.
I think they're okay.
I think they're okay.
Okay.
I'm trying to think if anyone was put on IR recently. I think that's it. Because what happened was Levo came back up and Hunwick came off IR. If Hunwick is still on IR or if someone is still on IR, they don't have to free up that spot.
How do they not have Levo on a two-way deal?
Sorry?
How do they... Sorry, go ahead.
Hunwick's off IR, right?
Yes,
right, so that's why they had to lose him.
Okay,
they lost
okay.
him.
That makes sense. Okay.
How do they not have Levo on a two-way deal?
Got a good agent. I don't know. All I know is he needs waivers. He needs waivers to clear. And people always yell at me about this because it's one of the minutia. If he was on a two-way deal, he might still have to clear waivers.
I think he probably is on a two-way deal, but maybe still has to clear waivers.
I don't remember. I think the rule is not all two-way deals are necessarily waiver exempt. It's all I just want to watch hockey. So, I don't know. It's not the biggest disaster. I think you could have kept Seth Griffith. It's also not the end of the world.
Is Austin Matthews a bust?
Oh, for sure.
There have been people out there that said the 4-goal game set the bar too damn high for it, and now he can't ever hope to accomplish. Yeah, you said it. You said it. That episode.
Called this so hard.
So hard. They're the hardest.
Well, and comparing Matthews and Laine is just the dumbest thing ever. Would you ever compare Ovechkin and Kopitar? Of course not. No. They're not the same player. They're not the same. Would you compare
Ovechkin and Crosby? Well, all the time, actually.
All the time, but they're not the same. They're not the same thing. Not even close.
Would you say, what's the matter with you?
By the way, Laine, I wrote this on theleafsnation.com recently, or on the Nation Network. I'm trying to remember the numbers exactly. But through their first 15 games, Laine had the same amount of goals as Ovechkin did.
Wow.
And Ovechkin had one more assist and therefore one more point.
Wow.
That's the difference.
That's pretty cool.
He's a goal scorer. That's what he is. Matthews can score goals. That's not what he is.
No.
It's not what he is. He's a much more solid two-way player. He's also being asked to basically carry
the offensive load.
Yeah.
And was he not? And is he not still second on team scoring?
I think so.
And has been
behind
the entire
I want to say
season?
Nylander.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's been on this huge slump, and he's still there. You know what I mean? And the Jets are they're further along, and they have better vets too. Who are the Leafs' real good vets up front?
JVR.
Okay, Kadri counts now, I think. Komarov's got the one goal. JVR and Bozak are on the same line. But the Jets have Blake Wheeler, man.
Yeah. Mark Scheifele is now a veteran.
Mark Scheifele is like
Tearing
an elite center in this league.
Yeah. He's unbelievable.
When did that happen? Berkshire's like, actually, happened a long time ago. Yeah, they're not the same type of player, and the goals are going to come from Matthews. And I think Matthews he's actually encouraging to me because I think he is evidence that fans are actually watching the games, because this whole Matthews isn't scoring thing, it's almost entirely media driven. I haven't seen fans talk about it. I haven't seen people freaking out on Twitter about it. The only thing I see them freak out about are the headlines.
Well, you know why? If you're watching the games, you're seeing him hit the post.
Every freaking game.
Like, you're seeing...
Yeah, you know what? He hits the post. Zach Hyman gets the rebound, buries his first, and everyone goes, Zach Hyman! Finally! And he scores the next game. Zach Hyman is on fire. You know what? Bless Hyman, because that's how he scores goals. You do need that type of player, but that's the difference between Matthews back on track and Hyman off the schneid. Remember, people were like, is it time to take Hyman off that line? Is it time?
Why?
Is it time to
send him down? I asked it.
Should we send him down so we can save Seth Griffith? No! 2 goals in 2 games. Woo! Austin Matthews, though. What is he going to play a little bit more like Zach Hyman?
He needs to play a little more hard-nosed.
Yeah, wait, who was the guy who Jeremy Roenick wanted Crosby to play like?
Jonathan Drouin. I bet Jonathan Drouin's like, I want to play a little more like Crosby, actually.
Come on. And I'm not dumping on Hyman. I'm talking about...
Well, you are dumping on Roenick.
Oh, for sure. Deserves it. But I'm talking about the difference that a couple inches makes, man.
Well, and that's the thing is that when you look at the way that line works, their scoring chances per game are up there. And every time they're on the ice, they're making things happen.
Every time.
I feel like every time I see them on the ice, the only thing I want to do is grab my PS4 controller and start playing. Like, they feel video game-like. And that was always what was playing the Leafs. It was never the Leafs themselves that felt that way. You know what I mean? Like, when you watch Crosby play, it's like, I want to play as Crosby because he's that good.
He's video gamey. I will also say I like Nylander a lot more on the wing.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah. It's weird. He's able to drive play more.
I want to quickly mention, too, speaking of the wing and speaking of young great prospects on the wing, before we go here quickly, Mike Darnay out of Pennsburg.
Oh, yeah.
He wrote an article, it was about a week ago, and he sent it to me on DMs. And I meant to bring this up last show, and I forgot. They examined Mitch Marner about a week ago, and he says they found a prospect that is almost as good, if not on par with, Austin Matthews.
Ooh.
I think that's an interesting article, so I'm going to tweet that out after the show. Mm-hmm. And people have been blasting me online for not posting my prep. I swear to you, this time I will post my prep. I'll post it. I'll send you some links, and that way you can look it up.
Yeah, Adam's got this is his only job.
Yeah, by the way, nothing else to do.
Yeah, I really like what Darnay's doing because numbers are important. Mm-hmm. They are a good indicator. They're a good predictor. But he looked at all of Frederik Andersen's goals at the beginning of the season.
Every single one.
Before he started to get hot again. Every single one of them. You're right, Adam. Every single one of them. And he's like, here's why you shouldn't be that worried. Well, like almost instantly he turned it around a bit. So, yeah, well, what about his 8 whatever save percentage? Okay, fine, but can you know what? If you only look at that shot, he has a 0% save percentage.
And look at, and by the way, look at
a bum.
Look at his first month last year.
If you only look at the shot that Carey Price, that goal that Nazem Kadri scored on Carey Price, 0%.
Yeah.
On that particular shot, Carey Price had a 0% save percentage.
And what a bum, right? What a bum.
Absolute bum.
With that moment, we got to leave you.
What a terrible draft choice.
We have to leave you on the radio portion. You can download this show at sportsnet.ca or any place podcasts are found, including iTunes. We are the Steve Dangle Podcast, brought to you by Panago Pizza, and we have literally the stat of the year for you in the download section. This is so amazing, and I'm so glad producer Jesse found it, and we'll talk about it then.
Stat of the year.
How do you feel about
awful?
Jesse's not here. We can't get to the stat right now because Jesse's picking something up from the mailroom. We have to talk about that later. But first, I want to talk about this honestly. How do you feel about arena deals and public funding for them?
Well, there's an argument to be made that Like, who owns most stadiums? Like the cities, usually?
Normally not. Normally it's, I mean, I guess it varies from city to city, but, for instance, in our case, it was always, Air Canada Centre was privately owned. Rogers Centre was
was that
privately
any public
owned.
funding?
I think there absolutely was.
How come?
And that's always been my question. So
is it okay? Is the argument it drives the economy?
I think there's a lot of arguments to be made for public sports, public sporting events. Dating back to the Roman times and Byzantine and all of those eras, and of course chariot races in Egypt, ancient Egypt, they were population control, and it's a way for people to get into a place and go and then relax and go home.
And whether that's the Leafs, Raptors, or Taylor Swift.
Yes, it gives you focus other than your boring, mundane job, which can suck. And a lot of these things arose because there's this energy that human beings have, that is, we are still animals, right? We still have those urges where we need to go, and that's why we all like hockey, because we could go for 3 hours and then we're like, okay, I'm good now. I'm exhausted. I'm good. I've yelled at the TV enough. I'm good. So the argument, I think, for public funding, though I have to say I'm 100% against it, is that, hey, your city, your team, you put money into this. Not only does it secure the team, it secures world-class entertainment, which is how the NHL would, or the NBA or the NFL, doesn't matter. Not only does it secure that for your city, which puts you on another level, it also drives money into the city, drives the economy. People are spending money. Every time somebody buys a jersey, what are you getting? I mean, if you're in Pennsylvania, you don't have this, you jerks. But here in Canada, we have 15% sales tax.
Yeah. So it's 13 now.
13%.
Yeah.
So we buy something. I believe 7 of it goes to the federal government, and then 6 of it goes to the provincial government.
I still remember it was somewhere in Pennsylvania. I don't remember where. In 2005. And I bought a pair of $39 pants for $39.
Yeah.
It was insane.
I don't think they have it.
I've never experienced that before.
Is it Tennessee? They don't have it either. Like,
well,
Tennessee,
New
they
York,
have income tax is super low, or is there something about Nashville that you keep a lot more than your money?
I bought some clothes in New York that same trip, and it was like $2 or $3 tax.
That's Canada versus
unbelievable.
The States. Canada versus the States, man.
Yeah, but then we get stuff.
Yes, yeah, we do get stuff for our money.
But then we get stuff like. Oh, never mind.
No, we'll get into that.
I'm not going to get into the politics
but
of it.
Here's the thing is that, yes, it's population control. It's putting your city, it brings it.
I'm going to cut taxes and then fix this.
What?
Well, wait, what?
Here's what I'm doing. When I go to Tampa, you know what I'm going to do?
What are you going to do?
I'm going to take my parents to a hockey game against the Vancouver Canucks on a Thursday night. And by the way,
it's going to cost you nothing.
Do you want to know how much it's going to cost?
So tickets for the 3 of you.
Ask me what the cheapest ticket for Tampa Bay Lightning is.
What is the cheapest ticket for the Tampa Bay Lightning?
About $12. Yeah. 12 to $18. And the best part about it for me is that
you're spending $36 to take the 3 of you to a hockey game.
I'm gonna go a little. I'm gonna splurge a little. I'm gonna splurge a little for my parents. I'd like to at least, if we're gonna sit in the 300s, which by the way in that arena is still, they're pretty good seats.
Yeah.
You're still pretty close to the ice. I want to sit closer to the edge so we can see more of the game. So I might spend $40 or $50.
Whoa!
I know. Wow, crazy. But and I'm going to do it again when I'm in Florida again a month later. I think it's just the argument for public partner or public private deals like this are that, the public pays in. The problem is, in a lot of these cases, the public pays in and they get no ownership of the building and therefore none of the profits. So I know
there have been some recent examples that I can't remember off the top of my head.
Atlanta?
So places really getting screwed.
They're paying enormous money. I don't have the figures in front of me, but it's enormous money to replace a stadium which is outside, I believe, of the Atlanta area and is really inconvenient. But what they're going to do is they're going to build a subdivision around it or something like that. Like they're going to do a complex and then a subdivision, and it's not even really in Atlanta. And I think that's the case there. And then there's something with the Texas Rangers where they're going to create a whole sports complex, which is great. But both of these ballparks are not that old. So why are you replacing them? And then it's like the public it's not like $100 million, which is a lot of money. But when we're talking government spending, it ain't that much. We're talking $400 and $500 million, right? We're talking big. It's
a lot
dollars.
of money. Like, I could get behind publicly funding an arena if you showed me, here's the breakdown of how it's going to benefit the city. Here's the financial breakdown of it.
Here's how I could get behind it. The city owns half of the arena. If the city's paying for half of it, the city owns half of it. And they might not have a say in how it's run. Although if you're going to invest in something, you should.
Very good ownership.
You should absolutely make profits directly from that. And that's my problem is a lot of these cases, these companies want the public money, but they want no strings attached. So with the Phoenix Arena deal, as I understand it, and again,
that's a grant.
Base level understanding of the Phoenix deal, because it's still pretty brand new and we're still not clear on all the details.
Is it Phoenix?
It is. Let me just make 1,000% sure.
Do you have to put money in the jar, Adam?
By the way, on the Texas deal, the city expects to be spending $1.675 billion over the next 3 decades to build a ballpark. That's very unnecessary because they have a good one already.
That's the Texas deal, right?
Texas Rangers,
the Arlington ballpark is amazing. Mm-hmm. Ballpark in Arlington.
It's 22 years old. Not that old.
And it's beautiful. It's like, to me, Texas has one of the quintessentially baseball-looking parks out there. I love it. Now, I'm not a Rangers fan, and I've never been to a game, so maybe any Rangers fans listening, I know you're out there.
I'm sure
how is the ballpark in Arlington? I'm sure it's fine. So here's the deal. The Coyotes have entered into an exclusive negotiation agreement with the Coyotes Development Corporation. They've unveiled a $400 million arena proposal that would require taxpayers to pick up half the costs. Now, this is the direct quote. The public's contribution to the development costs would come from a portion of the sales tax generated by the arena, a proposed luxury hotel, and a mixed-use commercial development at the site as well. So I guess you could hold trade shows and that sort of thing there.
Sure.
Be like a convention center.
Yeah.
The team floated a similar idea for a special taxing district earlier this year, but lawmakers told the Coyotes to hold off until 2017. Now, this is the city of Tempe. And I don't know...
Tempe, Arizona.
Phoenix Mayor Greg Stanton was a little more direct, saying building a third professional arena in this market doesn't make sense. The Tempe Mayor, Mark Mitchell, says to the Arizona Republic that he hasn't yet spoken to anyone about the city's potential involvement in building the arena. So Phoenix Mayor is saying, no, that doesn't make sense. Tempe Mayor has not spoken. To me, okay, fine, you want to set special taxing or whatever. I still don't see...
So, sorry.
So essentially
the team is set to relocate, but neither mayor has said anything?
That's what they're saying.
Okie doke.
If the Coyotes were to successfully move to Tempe, it would become their third home in the last 20 years.
That's a lot of homes.
That is. Now, I love the idea of the Coyotes finally getting a home to play in. I do. I hate the idea of citizens putting money towards something that there is, let's say they get this special taxing district. The development corporation that puts this arena together, when they build this arena, they can sell it at any time. The way I understand it, and I could be wrong, the way I understand it is that even though it's a special taxing zone, there is no way from that sale that the people of Arizona get any of their money back. They're just going to have to keep collecting it through their taxes.
Well, and what about the arena in Glendale?
Well, apparently they're going to do another short-term lease there.
I love the sport.
The Coyotes would sign another short-term lease.
Else.
Yeah, Coyotes did sign another short-term lease in Glendale while looking for a new home, and now the team is hoping that they have found one in Tempe.
And what happens? What happens to the arena the Phoenix Suns play in? Where do they play?
Where do they play?
That wasn't an option as well to share that.
Well, maybe that's what they were doing. I don't know. And maybe that's what they were doing. Maybe they're in. I
don't think they play in the same arena currently.
So this is where I'm sure it's not outfitted properly. That's probably what it is. And I'm going to be on Den Talk, actually, the Coyotes fans podcast
with Sarah
on Sunday.
Hall.
Man, they probably can shed more light on it. But the point of this, I didn't want to get too much into the minutia of the deal because we don't know enough yet.
Yeah, I am physically falling asleep.
I know. What do you think about? How do you feel about public dollars going into literally corporations making. Now, we know that they don't make a ton of money off the arena itself. But the idea from a corporate standpoint is to make money off of the team. How do you feel about that?
It's hard for me. It's hard because I get it, and yet I think you have the money. I think you have the money. Pay the money. You want to own the thing? I mean, can I go to the government and ask for a grant for my house that I don't pay back?
No.
Why not?
Because you're not generating any revenue at that house.
You don't know that. I work at home. I run a business out of my home.
Well, nobody's buying millions of dollars worth of stuff at your home, mostly.
Not yet. Not with that kind of attitude. Why not? Why not? What if I've seen all these dentist offices that people run out of their houses? All these businesses, baking businesses. I sell cupcakes out of my house. It's a business. I generate money.
Yeah.
What the hell? Why can't I do this? I'm not asking for hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm asking for a couple $100,000. Why not? Why are you being so stingy? Oh, also, I keep the house and you get nothing.
It's weird to me.
No bank would ever approve of that.
Well, and that's why, I mean, we make fun of Jerry Jones, but as far as I know, I could be wrong on this too. As far as I know, Jerry Jones spent $1 billion and made the Cowboys' new stadium and got the Super Bowl and all of that sort of stuff. I'm sure there was some public money in there somewhere getting the Super Bowl, but I'm pretty sure he built that just so he could get the Super Bowl in Dallas.
I feel like...
And I respect that. I respect that.
Let's take Calgary as an example, because I think this was a debate recently and Mayor Nenshi got involved and he was getting all upset. So, let's say they need a new arena. Now, let's focus on a word there. Need. Need is the bloody thing is falling down.
The Leafs, after 70 years, needed a new arena.
Yeah.
Maple Leaf Garden, after 70 years, was like, okay, it's done its time. And by the way, it's still there.
It's okay. You won't need a new arena for like at least another 20. Yeah, but it's way behind all the other arenas. No. That means you want a new arena. You want an arena that has this, that has that, that has that. But why doesn't someone go, okay, the $300 million or whatever it is, we were going to spend on this new sleeker arena that we don't technically need. We could use it, but we don't technically need it. Here's what we could spend it on. We could spend it on this service. We could spend it on that service. You know, the giant pothole you drive over every day fucking up your car? Yeah, we're going to fix that. This, that, the other thing. Like, you don't need a new arena unless the bloody thing is falling down. The Blue Jays could use a new stadium a few years down the line. They don't need it.
Mm-hmm. And
it's falling behind all these other stadiums. Okay, well, let's look at the needs of Toronto, which are many. Mm-hmm. and how we can maybe fix those things first.
And that's why Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, in their wisdom, and Rogers, in their wisdom, having acquired these different assets. So I'm going to use a couple examples. So Rogers Center, the amount of upgrades over the last 5 years at Rogers Center has been outstanding. It's amazing.
It is kind of a new looking park.
It is
from what it was like 5-10 years ago.
And the thing with the park is there's nothing wrong with the park. You just kind of have to change out the insides, and that can be more expensive than building a new park sometimes.
I've never gone to a Jays game, and I've been to so many where I've gone, they need a new stadium.
No, it still looks pretty clean and new.
Looks fine.
Now, Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment built BMO Field with a public-private partnership. However, once they wanted to add all the extra seating that they just added, they said, we're not even going to bother asking. We're just going to do it. And even though it is still partially owned by the city, they asked the city for nothing because the city still owns part of it. And they said, no, we're going to do it. We're just going to put it in there and it's going to be great. And guess what? They got the Grey Cup. They got the Winter Classic. It's a beautiful, beautiful place.
They're using it.
Yeah, they're using it, and they're selling it. They're selling the tickets. They knew they could.
I don't know nearly enough about this.
I just find the idea itself really turns me off.
A new stadium or a new arena, 9 times out of 10 is a luxury rather than a need, I think. Again, you gotta look at the words.
Do you need it or do you want it? And the Coyotes, by the way, need it.
Do they?
I think they do.
I don't know enough about it.
Pretty sure they need a home. I'll say that.
They do need a home, but
Do
you
they
look
need
at
a
the
new arena?
needs of the state or of the city or whatever.
Well, you know what I
Are
would
the
do?
needs more there?
If I were them, I'd go to the Suns and say, "Hey, man, you guys want a new place to play basketball?"
Seems to make sense.
Well, the
to me.
Suns play in downtown Phoenix, right next to the baseball stadium. And I don't think the Coyotes have ever been in downtown Phoenix.
And I think they'd be a huge draw if they could.
Yeah, so.
That's the problem. Then when last time I was on Den Talk, they said to me that one of the biggest pains about being a Coyotes fan is how hard it is to be a Coyotes fan. It's hard to go to the game.
I mean, we make fun of the Sens.
Yeah.
For being nowhere near
Oh my God!
the place that they say they play
I
in.
respect Coyotes fans for that. It's a drive. It's a real drive.
Yeah.
Especially for fans that were used to them being in Phoenix. Mm-hmm. It's like a 45-minute drive, I think.
I don't know.
Anyway.
That sounds right, but it's like the Leafs playing in Oshawa.
So here's
which I'd be fine with, and then I would be the one who laughs. Sorry,
Sorry, man. You're gonna have to keep the Generals.
I'll take them.
You'll have to stay with the Generals. Now,
They won the Memorial Cup 2 years ago.
This stat, Jesse. Where'd you find this stat?
So, it was sent by Adam Stewart. He tagged us all on Twitter. It's via Jason from Pro Hockey Talk.
Jason Bro?
Bro, yes.
Yeah, I do know what you're talking about.
So he wrote, the Rangers have spent a lot of time playing with the lead at 5-on-5. The Canucks have, holy God, look at the Canucks!
So go through the top
5.
10. It's fine. 5 teams.
5.
Okay,
Steve,
I'll
go
do
through
it.
the top 5 teams.
So, and remember, this is a couple days
And this
old,
is
right?
teams playing 5-on-5 with the lead.
Mm-hmm. Sent out November 14th at 2:16 p.m. So, playing with the lead at 5-on-5, the New York Rangers lead the NHL in 16 games played with 389 minutes
Wow.
and 42 seconds.
Wow.
Ahead, by the way, of the Montreal Canadiens, who in 16 games had the lead for 350 minutes and 6 seconds. So the Rangers had the lead for almost 40 minutes more than the Habs at 5-on-5.
I bet the reason that is that 10-0 game probably threw that stat right out the window.
Well, because they had the lead
60
for
they lost
0% of that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Then it's another sharp drop. Washington in 14 games. 14 games, though. 327 minutes. Chicago in 4th at 312 minutes. Number 5 in 15 games. Now, this has probably changed, though. Toronto. 291 minutes. Really quickly rounding out the top 10, San Jose 288, Detroit 276, Anaheim 272, Columbus 271, Boston 263. Now let's go to some of the have-nots, right? New Jersey in 20th.
No, don't go. No, don't go.
Trust me, for scale.
This is too much to remember.
Okay, fine.
Bottom 5.
Basically,
Bottom
20 of the NHL's 30 teams have had the lead for at least 200 minutes at 5-on-5. The bottom 5. Arizona, 137 minutes. Oof. Carolina, who I thought was doing pretty well, apparently not. 134 minutes. Philadelphia, 122 minutes.
Wow, that surprised me.
Philly?
Yeah.
Well, because they've scored so many goals.
They're a high-scoring team. I'm
So
really
many
surprised, but
goals.
it just shows their defense is not the greatest. And we
Nope.
complain about ours, but wow.
Colorado, 117 minutes. Jeez. And in last, again, 20 teams at least 200 minutes with the lead at 5-on-5. The Canucks have had the lead for 31 minutes and 9 seconds. And if I remember correctly, they've had the lead twice all season, and it was in 2 games. It was like game 4 against Buffalo and like one of their recent ones. I think they beat the Rangers.
So can you just read the last 2 for me again? Colorado.
It's actually kind of ironic that they beat the Rangers, the number 1 team in this category, and the Canucks are last.
Colorado.
Second last, 117 minutes
Over how
and
many
34 seconds, over 14 games.
Vancouver one more time.
Vancouver over 16 games, 31 minutes and 9 seconds with the lead at 5-on-5.
That is more than a full hour.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh. Oh, they have had a rough season. Almost a full hour, I think. I don't know.
60
math.
minutes. 60
hey, look, the
60
point
plus
here
30 is 90. Yeah.
Look, I don't know numbers. I do know the Canucks are in trouble, buddy. Oh, they're in trouble, buddy.
Man, wow. And I said to Jesse when I saw them, like, I can't believe they won a game at all with a stat like that.
They've won 5.
Yeah.
I think,
and
including
the
first 4. Yeah. Isn't that amazing? You know how hard that is?
It just doesn't make sense. Like,
No.
you look at it and you're like, you had half an hour of playing with the lead for the whole season.
And this isn't like, okay, and Canucks fans going, oh, here they go again.
No, at this point,
this is genuinely.
Yeah, you're right.
Not even, yeah, you're right. This is genuinely astonishing. I think you could be the worst team in the league and still luck into more than 30 minutes.
Yeah.
The hell?
Yeah.
The Coyotes have lucked into over 2 hours, and look at their record.
True.
Come on. Holy crap, is that terrible?
And they're sitting at 6-9-1, Vancouver.
That's not even that bad.
That's not bad at all. That's unbelievable.
That's unbelievable. Wow. I wonder how.
However.
Oh, wait, they got 6 wins?
Mm-hmm.
However, if you keep that up, just saying.
Solid 10th place finish.
Are the Canucks going to get a top 5 pick this year?
I don't know.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Well, didn't they get one last year?
Nope. They lost the lottery.
That sucks. I forgot they were the team.
Let me think.
Were they the team?
No, because they might have got one anyway. Because I remember it was Leafs, Jets, Blue Jackets. Calgary was... No, I think the Canucks were 9th, right?
Last year's draft went Toronto, Winnipeg, Columbus, Edmonton, Vancouver.
Oh.
Okay. Well,
they picked Yolovi 5th?
Yep.
Oh, wow. I thought he was 9th. Okay. Well, there you go.
Now, before we get to the actual press conference, we want to quickly do an honorable mention to Chris Collingsworth. I don't know if you saw the tweet, but man, it's great.
I don't actually know who he is. I just know he owned somebody.
He's an NFL commentator. And basically, talks about the NFL. There's a billion guys that talk about the NFL, right? He's like, by NFL standards, by NFL talking about standards, I think he's got like 250,000 followers, which is comparatively low to most guys who are well known for talking about the NFL. Isn't that weird? There's just so many people.
LeBron versus Tebow, who is the better NFL player? Sorry.
Hey, Skip.
I know the answer is Tebow.
So Bill Simmons tweets.
You can't come on my show and Sorry.
And Chris, I think, calls games. He's part of the calling game stuff. Yeah. So Bill Simmons says, tweets this.
That would make him Chris Collingsworth.
Oh, with an A, not an O.
That's funny.
That was well done. Well done.
No.
Oh, wow. No high five.
Damn.
Bill Simmons says, somebody needs to gently break the news to Collingsworth that the Pats have a weak front 7, and that's why Seattle's O-line looks good. To which Chris Collingsworth retweeted with comment and then sadly deleted.
Aww.
He said, "Thanks, Bill. We'll look for you we'll look forward to you gently breaking it down on that hit show of yours."
Oh, see, that is a burn. You know what? Because I saw that yesterday and I didn't think it was a burn. What's the name of the number 1 prospect for the 76ers?
Joel Embiid?
No, the other guy.
Simmons?
Yeah.
Ben Simmons?
That's who I thought it was.
Oh,
I'm an idiot.
Oh my God.
I was like, why did Ben Simmons tweet him?
No, Bill Simmons.
It was Bill Simmons. Oh, that's so much more of a burn.
Now,
I'm like, of course he wouldn't have a hit show. He's a basketball player.
Bill Simmons, if you don't know, for full context, had a show called Any Given Wednesday on HBO, which lasted a grand total of 6 weeks.
Ooh.
And it was billed for 24 episodes, and they canceled it mid-season because it was so bad.
And people were saying, well, Bill Simmons made a career out of ripping people on television and then couldn't do it himself.
Yeah.
Now, that's what they said. I never saw an episode, so I don't know.
Nobody did, apparently.
I thought he was a basketball player.
Reading some of the responses, though, online are hilarious. And the thing is, Chris Collingsworth deleted that. Now, do you think he deleted that because he genuinely respects Bill Simmons and didn't want it to be taken the wrong way? Maybe they're buddies. And should he have left it up?
I think, generally speaking, you should leave up tweets that you... Well, I mean, because they're there. They're there now. We know he said it. How do we know what he said if he deleted it? It's out there. Right?
Screen grab.
I think the only reason you leave it up is because you genuinely feel bad. I've done that. I deleted something recently about Pecorine because I just decided to rant about him. He's the reason the Preds were off to a bad start. And then I went and looked at his numbers and I went, okay, Pecorine has been bad in the past for sure. He hasn't been bad so far this season. He's been fine. Oh, shoot. He's definitely not the reason they're losing.
Well, it's PK Subban.
Because I felt bad.
PK Subban is the reason they're losing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, and not just that, the lack of Shea Weber.
Oh, for sure.
Goodness.
For sure. God.
And also, Terrian greater than Laviolette.
Jesse, what do you think? Leave it up, take it down.
The tweet? I think you can take it down. I don't mind you taking down a tweet if you don't feel that way anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he obviously feels that way on some level.
At the moment.
Past tense.
I don't mind if you take down a tweet.
It was a damn good burn, though.
That is a damn good burn.
Now let's do the press conference, shall we?
The Presser. SDP. The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
Jesse E.
What other embarrassing things have you done involving NHL players? Similar to texting Garrett Sparks.
Oh, I think, have I told my Jennifer Botterill one before? Not NHL, but...
No.
I don't think so.
No, okay. So this was in my early days interviewing, and I was not good at it. I wasn't good at it. I can't remember what school she played for. I want to say, oh man, it was one of the schools like really famous for their law program. Let's say Harvard. I don't know. And I was trying to frame the question around what was it like going to a school known for something basically more than playing hockey. Mm-hmm. Now, it's a stupid question because it's completely ignoring the fact that they have a really good hockey program. Might have been Princeton. Oh yeah. So sorry about that. I was completely ignoring the fact that school also had a really good hockey program, but I was trying to be like, oh, it's known more for lawyers, and I realize how shitty the question is in the middle of asking it, and so I'm stumbling and I make it even worse. And so she just like puts on a screw face like in the middle of it and just goes, "Are you chirping my school?" And I was just, and she was really sweet about it and knew I was just, shit, how old was I? That was before the Olympics. I was 21.
Oh man.
I sucked, man. Shitty.
Oh.
She let me down easy. So that was nice.
Unfortunately, we've got to wrap this up early because somebody else booked the room directly after us and we're running a little bit
You
over
might be
time.
like, if you're watching the YouTube version, what's this paper towel and Lysol magically doing there that wasn't there in the previous shot?
Anyway, we're going to get out of here. Thank you so much for listening to the show. We'll catch you on Reddit or Twitter or Facebook or any way you want to reach out to us.
Any of those things.
Have yourself a good one, and we will talk to you on Thursday.
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Brought to you by Panago Pizza. Order at panago.com and stuff your face with deliciousness.